You're listening to Our Introverted Lives, a podcast not only for introverts, but for all personality types. Your personality has an impact on your daily life, whether it be physically, emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. Join us weekly as we learn more about each other and ourselves. Hey there, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Our Introverted Lives podcast. I'm your host, Justin Ross, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the topic of confidence. I chose the topic of confidence for today's podcast episode because I do feel like confidence is something that we all have to face at some point in our lives, regardless of if you're an introvert or an extrovert. We all have to face it at some point. And I do feel like introverts might have it a little worse than extroverts when it comes to having confidence issues, because we do have a little less mental support than extroverts because we are a little more reserved people, right? So I wanted to make this episode to give people tips on how to get over those confidence issues and to move on. The number one tip I'm going to give you guys is to find your passion and to leverage it. For example, back in high school, I used to have a very big passion for American football. I loved watching it, loved playing it, loved talking about it. And I wasn't bad at it either. We won a championship both years that I played, and I was a captain for my second year. I do think that my confidence was at an all-time high while playing the sport, not only because I was good at it, and not only because of my passion for the sport, but also because of the friendships that I made along the way as well. I made a lot of friendships on my own teams that I played for, and also some on opposing teams as well. If you do what you are passionate about, you'll never get a negative. And what I mean by that is that you will always love doing it. And anything else that you get from it, such as money or fame, will just be gravy at that point because you already love doing what you're doing. My second tip that I have for you guys is once you find your adventure that you want to do, take small steps before you dive into the deep end. I know I'm speaking in metaphors now, but it's a good one, I promise. What I mean by my metaphor is once you find your adventure, your task that you want to do, set baby goals before setting seemingly unobtainable goals. So I'll give you guys a random example. Let's say I'm a painter, which I'm not, far from it, but let's say I am. I finished my first painting. A baby step for me would be to take a picture of that painting, post it on Facebook, and see if people like it or not. I would do that to see if people actually like the painting or not, and to try to receive any feedback that I can about the painting to make my future paintings that much better. Now, an example of a seemingly unobtainable goal would be to finish that first painting and expect that painting to be posted in the fanciest art gallery in the world. Now, just because your first painting didn't make it to that art gallery right away, it doesn't mean that your future paintings won't make it there someday. It just means that you started from the bottom and you need to achieve other milestones. You need to constantly be obsessed with improving your paintings, and they will eventually make it there someday. Now, what is going to kill your confidence more? Finishing that first painting and expecting greatness from it right away, or finishing that first painting, being excited that you've actually finished it, and for the feedback that you're going to receive from it? Probably the first option, right? Now, personally, to me, I feel like the smallest your next milestone is, the more likely you are to achieve greatness. because the smaller your next milestones are, the more likely you are to achieve them. And someday you'll look back and think, holy crap, I actually achieved the success I envisioned myself to, instead of just jumping for the stars right away and failing and putting yourself down and just bringing that negative energy to your passion. The third and last tip I'm going to give you guys today is to live in the present instead of the past or the future. As introverts, we tend to dwell a lot on the past and have a lot of anxiety about the future. Whatever happened to you in the past has already come to pass. Whatever happens to you in the future is out of your control. So just be thankful for who you are as a person presently today. And I promise you, you will be a happier person and a more confident person in yourself. Thank you, everybody, for listening to today's podcast episode. Our Introverted Lives is on every major platform: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So make sure to follow the podcast and subscribe to it for more future content.